Mr. Secretary, roll call.
Councilmember Beverage. Councilmember Jacques. Councilmember Cuesta.
Here.
Councilmember Gold. Councilmember Keenan.
Here.
Councilmember Cedeno.
Here.
Councilmember Bowman. Councilmember Matza.
Here.
Council President Musa.
Here. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag led by Councilman Cuesta.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a rescheduled meeting of the City Council of the City of Elizabeth, convening as the Municipal Board of Alcohol Beverage Control. Notice of this meeting has been prominently posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board, reserved for such announcements, and is on file with the City Clerk and ABC Board Secretary, Room 106, City Hall, Elizabeth, New Jersey, and mailed to any person upon request. A copy of this notice was sent for publication to the media. First order of business. Motion to approve minutes from the scheduled ABC meeting held March 26, 2012.
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by Councilman Cuesta. Is there a second? I'll second it. Roll call.
Councilmember Cuesta.
Aye.
Councilmember Keenan. Councilmember Cedeno.
Aye.
Councilmember Matza.
Aye.
Council President Musa.
Aye. Next order of business. Application for person-to-person transfer from Newark Fourport LLC, holder of plenary retail consumption license, hotel and motel exception, number 2004-36-166-007. City license number C-263, trading as Crown Plaza, located at 901 Spring Street, Elizabeth, New Jersey, 07201. 2, 901 Spring Street, LLC, trading as Crown Plaza, holder of plenary retail consumption license, hotel motel exception, number 2004-36-166-008, city license number C-263, located at 901 Spring Street, Elizabeth, New Jersey, 07201. Corporate structure, Chi Cheng Cheng, 1 Hayduck Drive, Edison, New Jersey, 08820. Sole owner with 100% of business owned.
Gemma Giantomasi of Genova Burns, Giantomasi and Webster on behalf of 901 Spring Street LLC. Good evening, council members. I have with me Jason Chi Chang Chang, sole member of 901 Spring Street LLC. And as Council President said, we made application to this board for the person-to-person transfer of hotel license 2004-36166-008 to 901 Spring Street LLC from North Fourport LLC. This license transfer is in connection with the applicant's purchase of the Crown Plaza Hotel located at 901 Spring Street LLC. The license is currently in use as a restaurant and bar and in connection with the hotel's catering and room service operations. The sole member of 901 Spring Street LLC is Jason Chi Chang Chang. He's an experienced hotel operator, and in connection with his hotel operations, he's familiar with the operation of New Jersey liquor licenses. For instance, he has liquor licenses in use at his Holiday Inn in Totowa, Best Western in South Plainfield, and Crown Plaza in Edison. 901 Spring Street LLC will continue to operate the license as a restaurant and bar and in connection with the hotel's catering and room service operations.
Are there any questions? In looking at the application, I see that Mr. Cheng has seems 10 years of experience, but he will only be there part-time. He's going to have a manager there, Mr. Wang. What about his experience?
He's of 3 years experience.
Yes.
for beverage.
3 years of experience. See, question 5, you checked off no to checking IDs for underage drinking. You don't check IDs?
Oh, we check IDs.
You do? Okay, it says check ID at the door, so.
We do.
Oh, so that should be a yes. You
Yes.
Check IDs, okay. Are there any other questions or comments by, just Mr. President? Yes, Mr. Day.
Just if you're able to elaborate a little bit about Mr. Wang's experience. I know you mentioned it's 3 years, but what was his job description within those 3 years?
He's more in hotel side operations. On site, actually, the general manager's name is Carlos Valerios, who is an over 10 years experience also, who was the general manager at the Holiday Inn Pacific and the general manager at the Crown Plaza Edison. And let me go back to Chris, when he was the general manager at the Crown Plaza Edison, and also half-year general manager at the Holiday Inn South Springfield.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Pasternak, you wouldn't have anything to share with us, would you?
No, sir, I looked into his background, and as you guys also did as well, and had no issues, no questions. All looks like everything's going to work out just fine.
Great, thank you, sir. Okay, any other questions? We'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second. Okay, moved by Councilman Cuesta, seconded by Councilman Sedan. Roll call.
Councilmember Questa.
Aye.
Councilmember Keenan. Aye. Councilmember Sedan.
Aye.
Councilmember Mazza.
Aye.
Council President Wilson.
Aye. Okay, congratulations, sir. I'd like to recognize Councilman Jacks. Next order of business, old business. Is there any old business? New business?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, Councilman Cuesta.
Mr. President, if you recall, I believe it was last week at the pre-council meeting that we briefly talked about an application submitted by the, I think it's called Orale restaurant, the new Mexican restaurant in town. We discussed briefly the fact that they have requested permission for certain things. And if I recall correctly, nothing really was decided that night. We just discussed the hours of operation, and because what they essentially want to do is a festival where we close at least one city street. If my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, that's
And we
correct.
talked about the hours of operation, and we agreed that we would grant the same hours as we do with other festivals. And as a matter of fact, the festival sponsored by Melly Mel came into play, and we talked about it. It is my understanding that those festivals have been given permission in the past to operate only until 8 p.m., not 9, not 10. So that's one concern that I have. I want to make sure that we are uniform in how we give out these permits. But my main concern, it has been brought to my attention that for this particular event on May 5th, celebrating Cinco de Mayo, this particular applicant wants to be able to sell, in addition to beer, wants to be able to sell hard liquor, such as tequila and other mixed drinks. That is something that we have never approved in the past, and I would strongly object to approving such a request. I believe that the request was made in writing, and I hope that this body takes into consideration the fact that we have never done it before, and to sell tequila or any other hard liquor in the middle of the street would really be, my personal opinion, a big mistake.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with you certainly that we should definitely be consistent with whatever we've done in the past and whatever we should do in the future. I don't know if the ABC secretary or our council can elaborate a little more on responsibility with regard to that.
What I know is that at the regular meeting, after this meeting, we'll be considering a festival ordinance for closing Julian Place between Orley and the bar right across Las Palmas.
Okay.
And that will be for your consideration this evening later on. With respect to the service of alcoholic beverages, I believe they're asking for an extension of the premises.
I didn't hear that.
They're going to be requesting an extension of the premises, so you can limit, obviously, the hours, but you're not going to be limited, be able to limit what is being served. They're doing an extension of the premises.
Well, perhaps I can, since it's going to be on the agenda for a regular city council meeting, I will expand on that issue later on. But my understanding is that in order to close a city street, the administration has to approve it.
That's right, your application to the mayor.
Administration, so regardless of what action we take, let's say that we approve the item, the administration can still deny closing the street, correct?
That's correct.
All right, I just want to be absolutely sure about that.
Obviously, the mayor will ask a recommendation from all the departments, and they'll make whatever appropriate recommendation.
Well, I was going to wait until later on, but since you raised the issue, I want to say that the mayor is totally against the sale of hard liquor at a festival where we close the street. So the applicant is going to have to decide either they limit the alcohol consumption or the street will not be closed. I just wanted to inform my colleagues of that situation. It's something that really concerns me. We have never done it before. I don't think we should do it now. I realize the state may have some input, but if the state overrides the ABC board, then I would strongly urge the administration not to allow the closing of the streets. That's just my personal decision.
Mr. President? Yes, Councilman. With regard to the prior instances, is the petition to extend licensed premises, normally I would assume that this is not done in conjunction with the street closing, correct? Would this be a case where the entity operates indoors and they want to extend to a patio?
Sometimes the extension of premises could be to a parking lot or to areas adjacent to the bar itself.
But on the owner's property?
Yeah,
I 100% want to support Councilman Cuesta, and also I think Councilman Gonzalez also indicated that the ABC may not be able to dictate a restriction of the extended license premises itself, but with regard to the closing of the street, that's where we can achieve the Councilman Cuesta's desire. But it's got to be clear that everybody needs to be treated equally, and that if the hour of closing in the past has been 8 o'clock, it should be 8 o'clock, and that if we've only served beer in the past, it should only be beer. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Okay, sure, Mr. Kim. Any other comments? Councilman Mazza.
Yeah, Mr. President, if I understand correctly, we have a few councilmen that are objecting to sell hard liquor into the streets area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So if there is our intent to remain firm, not only with this particular premises, but for other people that are doing festival in the near future, because if you look at the festival ordinance, you have to meet certain criteria, and then the people has to go to the state and apply for a extension of a permit to be able to use, a site as perimeter of the building. Going to the street, something probably was never done before. I don't know what the consequences might be. If there will be any consequence, it will be at the expenses of the license holders. I'm sure there are going to be enough police officers there going to surveil and be able to keep an eye and see what's going right or what's going wrong. So
to come up to a conclusion without any previous record and just say now, I think it's a little bit of being unfair, or yet not to have a proper record, but it was done before enough. We're precluding to make a judgment basing on the applicant that is applying. And I think we should be very reluctant and careful about it, because there might be a lawsuit arising from this, Mr. President, to the city of Elizabeth or to the, present body. I go along with the information that if it was never done before, that we're so sure about it, it's something that is good, but we should never close the door for future, things to take place. I have a mixed feeling myself, whether, any other festival that was held in the city of Elizabeth over the years, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, whatever, even before my time, or even in some other private club, I don't mention names, when they have selling of the liquors from inside the license, they go outside into a parking lot, into a street. That's something to really look into it. And I usually they give out to wine. The state gives permission for wine, beer. What else? You have any idea what the state gives them when they give the okay, besides wine and beer?
Yeah, I've only seen wine and beer from the state.
Yeah, I think we use the example of the Colombian Festival, where the only thing that would be permitted would be beer trucks, and they had to serve in a plastic cup, so you didn't have bottles or cans, something like that. So if you're recommending that the ABC secretary, when it comes around to administration, make a recommendation, this is the time to tell them what you're.
Because, Rafa, I recall when we had Sarvaca, we only sold beer from the truck, like we also do with Sandiro Festival. We only sell beer from the, on a plastic can. They want to go with hard liquors, what kind of hard liquor? I mean, the whole sequence of gin, whiskey sour, things like that.
Well, they might not be able to do that if the board makes that recommendation.
Well, maybe it would be wise to inform those two premises, because they're going to go through expenditure to fill out paperwork, application fees, and things like that. Those are taxpayers in our city, and if you need them, maybe you should call them up and be able to come before the city council so they can answer question and you let them know what's happening.
Well, I haven't seen the application, so I'm not sure where the tequila came in at,
but the applications are in. I know for a fact they are in. And there's also approval from the state.
I'd just like to note that we do have the petition there, and if you take a look at it, there is some information attached there in terms of meeting with the police department and having 8 officers, 2 sergeants, and also with their request for a beer, wine, but also margaritas in 6-ounce cups.
Can you repeat what's the 6 ounce?
If you look at the second page, if you look at the petition to extend premises on the second page, number 7.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
It indicates 12-ounce cups of beer, 6-ounce cups of wine, and frozen margaritas, 6-ounce cups. So the only thing at issue at this point seems to be would be the margaritas that they plan to serve. But if I understand, and I agree that we need to be careful, but we also need to be fair. We need to be consistent with what approvals that we have and we've made in the past. But my understanding from the council is that we cannot restrict what they serve. That would then be the state.
But no, you can on the street.
In the street.
Yes.
Okay.
But on the premises, that's a different story.
Mr. President, no, it's a debate. I mean, I'm looking also to have some kind of coverage, which is important for the safety of our people. Once we close the area that's at the street, even the police department, they actually, see from the map that Mr. Mando was showing, will allow an area to be either roped in or whatever. That will be the only area that will be allowed to sell, and then liquors will remain inside that particular area. If it's so, if it's not, then you know what? We'll just have to do what the majority of the city council feels like to do for the safety of the people. But otherwise, if we don't sure about the safety or that this will create a major problem, they have to provide with the insurance, they have to provide with some kind of a bond and anything else. Maybe let them try it. It's only one day, Cinco de Mayo. If things really goes out bad or something happens, they have to be able to be responsible, and then we never prove to any other person in the future. At least we have an experience that something serious might happen. God forbid. I don't wish that to no one. So it's something that, as the councilman mentioned before, was never done before. Why would you want to do this time?
Okay, we've had certainly some lively discussion on the issue. Somebody like to make a motion so we can make a recommendation to the administration as with regard to this particular issue.
Well, Mr. President, the intent of my comments were to limit the use of just beer, perhaps wine, I'm not sure, at festivals where streets are closed. So that's what I would propose. Now, I'm a little bit confused because Roger stated that it's on the agenda for a regular city council meeting, so I'm definitely in favor of the festival. I'm definitely in favor of the celebrations, Cinco de Mayo. I definitely want that. My only concern was the frozen margaritas or the hard liquor that may be sold. That I'm against. So if we can do the motion now rather than have a city council meeting, then I'll make the motion now.
The motion would be to just direct the ABC secretary as to what the position is of the ABC board on it.
Right, the position should be that in Elizabeth, when we approve a festival and streets are closed, hard liquor is not allowed. Basically, wine and beer will be acceptable. That's what I would recommend.
So that would be your motion,
That
Council?
would be my motion.
Would there be a second to that motion?
I'll second.
I'd like to recognize Councilwoman Purvis Augustine.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Second.
Councilman Cedeno seconds the motion. Can we have a roll call?
I'm sorry, Mr. President, there's some unreadiness. What are you voting on?
Councilwoman, an issue is that the street, they are requesting to close the street so they can have a festival. And that issue is whether or not there should be the sale of hard alcohol, hard liquor. And we are voting that we are in favor of it, but only with beer and wine.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
So roll call.
Councilmember Purvis Augustine.
This is odd on the fact that during the festivals only beer and wine, so, okay, yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Councilmember Questa.
Aye.
Councilmember Keenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Cedeno.
Aye.
Councilmember Massa.
Aye.
Council President yourself.
Aye. It's unanimous. Okay, we have one communication. The next meeting, the regular scheduled meeting of the Alcohol Beverage Control is Monday, May the 21st, 2012 at 7:30 p.m. in City Council Chambers, City Hall. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Councilman Cedeno or Councilman Cuesta? Second?
Second.
Councilman Cedeno, second.
Councilmember Purvis Augustine.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Councilmember Questa.
Aye.
Councilmember Keenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Cedeno.
Aye.
Councilmember Massa.
Aye.
Council President yourself.
Aye.